Community, brothers, sisters, family, all here today. We're here for a common goal. What's happening in Washington with these shutdowns and holding the middle-class America hostage has got to end. Yes. And it's got to end now. And this has gone on too long. We have been pawns. And with that, I'd like to introduce, or do a few thank yous. We have our International Secretary-Treasurer of the Machinists Union, Doris Savanas, is out here in the crowd today. We want to thank her for her support. I'd also like to bring up and thank our General Vice President of the Southern Territory, Ricky Wallace. Ricky Wallace is going to come speak for us right now. And thank you, Ricky, for all the support and the International has given us in this crisis. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank everyone for coming out. Good afternoon. First, I want to bring greetings from our International President, Bob Martinez, who wishes he could be here today. He wants every one of our members in this entire Space Coast community to know that the Machinists Union will use every legal resource available to fight for our members and federal contract workers to ensure they are made whole after this fiasco is over. I need to thank everyone that made this event possible. First off, let's give a huge round of applause to IAM District 166 for hosting us here today. This event would not have been possible had it not been for the hard work of Directing Business Representative Robert Miller, Local 2061 President Ed Grabowski, and especially Business Representative Kevin D'Amico, who has been running around all week putting this thing together with the help of a lot of y'all. Thank you, Kevin. I want to also thank our brothers and sisters in the local labor community here who collaborated with us with this show of solidarity. The Florida AFL-CIO, Space Coast AFL-CIO, and Field Representative Karen Houston for coordinating the field drive, volunteers, and helping with the great turnout today. Karen, if you're here. The International Association of Firefighters, the Transport Workers Union, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, District 5, the Brevard Federation of Teachers, and the entire space community for having our backs during this difficult time. Thank you. Several elected officials are represented here today, so thank you for your support. I want to give a special thanks to Cocoa Mayor Jake Williams, Jr. The mayor and the city council passed a bill to waive water bills and cut off notices for any Brevard resident impacted by the shutdown. Mr. Mayor, on behalf of the Machinists Union and every working man and woman in this community, thank you for doing what you can to take some of the burden off of these families. With that said, it's a damn shame we're at this point. These are hard-working, skilled people who do their jobs with pride and have a duty to provide for their families. But due to the dysfunction of our government, the people in Washington, they're not worried about your water being shut off, or putting food on the table, or keeping a roof over your head, or tuition payments, or health care. I don't know where the empathy is at. I don't see it. The bills are stacking up, and all some of our folks in Washington want to do is bicker amongst themselves. Well, we have a message for Congress and the White House. Do your damn job and stop using federal and contract workers as hostages. We'll call this shutdown exactly what it is, a man-made disaster. There is no reason why we should have to collect food here today for folks like hard-working Machinists Union members who support critical government operations like NASA. A three-week reprieve from the chaos inflicted on our families and our community is something not to cheer about. Federal contract workers should never be used as pawns in Washington's political games. This shutdown has had an oversized impact on veterans, who make up 1/3 of the federal workforce. We live in the only country in the world that shuts their government down. This is a moral issue, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen. Luke 10:7 says workers deserve their pay. We will remember the politicians who allowed this to happen and vote accordingly in 2020. This shutdown is not only handcuffing our government and hurting working families, it's taking money directly out of our communities. This shutdown hurt every last one of us, and whether you are a federal employee, a federal contract worker or not, we are still feeling the pain of this senseless shutdown. I saw a statistic the other day that this shutdown has cost federal contractors like my brothers and sisters at NASA over $2.4 billion so far. And tragically, now that the shutdown has ended, it is often federal contractors who don't see any kind of repay or back pay. Federal contract workers who work side by side with federal workers from NASA to the Coast Guard to FFA, FAA, will not get back pay unless we pressure Congress and the President to do so. The Machinists Union is leading the charge to introduce legislation to secure back pay for our federal contract workers. We are working with allies in Congress, like Congressman Darren Soto, to get back pay for every federal contractor affected by this shutdown. Representatives from Congressman Soto's office, Stephanie Murphy and Val Demings, are here showing their support. Thank you. National security is at stake here. Our best and brightest will leave or never take government jobs or federal contracting jobs if they cannot count on a consistent paycheck. I have another name for this shutdown: pure economic negligence. You know there's a disconnect when the Secretary of Commerce, Wilbur Ross, offered up a solution the other day on national TV. He said he didn't understand why government employees or contract workers who were out of work had to use food banks or, in some cases, homeless shelters. He said all they had to do was go out and secure a loan. Go get a loan, get you through this. And by the way, this man's worth over $700 million. There's something wrong here, brothers and sisters. People like Ross have no clue to what they are doing to working men and women in this country. Elections matter, and again, we will remember those politicians who allowed this to happen and vote. Hold them accountable in 2020. God bless you, brothers and sisters. Thank you for what you do, and keep the fight up. Thank you.
Thank you, General Vice President Ricky Wallace, for coming down and taking time out of your schedule to support our membership and our community. It means a lot. This time, I'd like to bring up Cocoa Mayor Jake Williams, Jr.
Thank you, and I'd like to say good afternoon to everyone that's here today. I wanted to come here and say something I was thinking of. Well, should I say Happy New Year's? But I think it's inappropriate right now. I'm just going to say New Year to all, because certainly a lot of us are not feeling too joyful with things that are happening today. I'm not going to repeat what's been stated already, because a lot of stuff he stated I wanted to mention myself. But to let you know that the City of Cocoa, we're going to do everything we can to help you all. We actually was getting ready to start a nice fundraiser that we were going to do, but we're going to go forward with that because we don't know what's going to happen within the next 3 weeks and what's to come. So I thank you all, and I thank you all for everything that you do, and we're going to do everything that we can. And I'd just like to remind you all that at this level that I'm at as mayor and your council members, you know, we're the elected officials closer to the people. We listen to you. We get it. I mean, we get it. We understand. But for some reason at the federal level, they don't resonate with us. They don't resonate with their constituents. And we need to get that message across to them that, hey, we put you there. And you can't put us through this. I mean, this is a matter of safety, security. This is a matter of families. I mean, this is the most ridiculous thing I ever heard of in my life. It's crazy. I mean, this is not about politics. This is about lives. This is about people. And sometimes you got to set politics aside and do what's right for your citizens and for the residents and for the people. So with that being said, I'm not going to go on because I can go on a little bit longer and talk about some of the garbage that's going on today. But I thank you all and just want you to know that we're here to support you in any way and every way we can. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, for taking time out of your busy schedule to come be here with us today and to support your community. It means a lot to the Machinists Union. And it means a lot to our community, sir. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to bring up Miss Christine Herndon. She employs about 150 people out there at Kennedy Space Center, which our members have a contract with. She is a small business set-aside. This woman has done remarkable things for her employees during this crisis, and it's been a struggle for her. She is a small business set-aside. You always hear about the big corporations. Well, there's little ones out there that suffer and could go bankrupt and other things during these crises when our government's playing games. At this time, please welcome Christine Herndon, the CEO of the Herndon Group.
As Kevin said, I'm a small business owner out at Kennedy. I started my company over 10 years ago, and my favorite thing about small business are the people, hands down. And as we've talked about today, this is about the people. While the government is open, at least for now, this is far from over. As a business that hasn't received income from the government since early December, as you can imagine, we've stopped paying our bills and our vendors. One of those vendors being our health insurance provider. And it took a village, but we figured out how to do it so we could keep health insurance going for the employees, as that was the priority. So, and a lot of our staff, this happened over Christmas. Not that it's ever a good time, it should never happen, but it certainly was a horrible time. People are on vacation, people are out of PTO, people have had surgeries, and didn't have PTO left. For those that have used all their PTO and are being forced to use their PTO, and those that don't have it haven't received checks either. So I know there are many of you that aren't being able to pay your bills either. There are many things about this shutdown that upset me. Many. I could talk a long time. I think we all could. The number one thing that I know has been hard on this contract community is the ongoing reference to federal employees getting their back pay as opposed to federal contractors. Now, I'm not suggesting it's easy for these civil servants that haven't received checks, but it sure is a light at the end of the tunnel to know you'll be made whole at one point. The fact that we don't know if we'll be made whole, to me, is incredibly disturbing. I don't know how to tell my staff to go to work and do their job when they're not getting paid. And as a business owner, it really makes me not want to think about pursuing federal business work when I can't take care of the people that take care of me every day by showing up and doing their job and doing it fantastically, I may say. I'm slightly biased, but I do think I have the best workers at Kennedy. Just saying. As you guys all know here, maintaining the contractor workforce is critical. You guys have institutional knowledge that nobody else has, and we need to get the contractors paid. We have to get us paid. There are many lanes to the shutdown. You have the business lane, you have the employee lane, and you have the community lane. And the tentacles go incredibly deep. But I really believe if we can get us paid and get us to a point of making us whole, it'll allow our community to heal faster and allow our businesses to continue to grow, which is critical to all our livelihood and all of us being able to take care of our friends and family. So thank you, Kevin, for giving me the opportunity to speak, and good luck to us all.
Thank you, Christine. At this time, I'd like to bring up our Space Coast AFL-CIO representative, Karen Houston. Karen's been doing a lot of hard work for us here. Let's give her a hand.
Thank you, brother. And I look out into this crowd. I see a lot of people that I talk to constantly. I want to say first and foremost to everybody that's here today, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for contributing. Thank you for the calls. Thank you for the donations. We had people come with carloads of donations. You go inside here today, those of you who haven't been inside, you'll see it's a lot of work that's been done. And so I just want to say a blanket thank you to everybody. I want to say thank you to the local lodges who gave, who are not a part of it, but you're all a part of it. We all are a part of it. This is our community. People helping people, that's what we're about. It's all about solidarity. I want to thank you to all the local lodges that gave money, they brought donations, thank you. Private citizens who just see what's happening within our community, and they stepped up and said, you know what, that's not right, I'll be down there. I had so many calls, I'm telling you. But it was wonderful. For each call that I had, I thank you for calling. I thank you for the offers of coming down to help. What can I do? That's what a lot of people said to me. What can I do? And we have things for you to do, so I want to say thank you for all those people. I don't want to leave the community organizations out. There's no way. Now, this is not a partisan thing. This is not about partisan politics. But I have to recognize a couple of organizations that were there in large amounts, bringing large amounts of stuff, and that's the DEC. Progressive Alliance is here. We have Speak Out Brevard, and all different groups that stand up with us with labor. That's what I do as part of labor. I go out to my local organizations, I go out to my local affiliates, and I'm telling you, the community stands in when we need them to stand in. And I appreciate that. I want to say thank you to everybody. But it's not about partisan politics, believe me. It's not about that. It's about who comes out to help us when we need help. And I work with them all the time. Matter of fact, I join a lot of groups. So I just want to say thank you for all that. And like I said, this is about empathy. This is about looking at somebody else and saying, you know, this could happen to me anytime. It could happen to any of us, and it does happen to some of us. I was a product of the shuttle program going away, and I'm telling you, it goes down into the community. That's a domino effect. It goes right down into the community. We had popular restaurants closed up when the shuttle program went away. This is how it affects our community. If you don't think so, you ask a person who worked in the shuttle program and see what happened back then. It was a rough time for us, and this is a rough time. This should not be. We shouldn't have workers, state workers, federal workers. These are not only pawns, but they're vulnerable because it's easy to just say, well, we just cut your work, we'll cut your check off, because it's easy for them to say that. It's not, their check's not being cut off. But I don't know. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm not a person who can afford to be without a paycheck. You got families, you got bills to pay. And the thing about it is when you're out there and you're making decent money, you also spend that money in the community. So it's gonna trickle down. So if you guys aren't working, then some of the restaurants are not gonna be having as many clients. Some of the stores are gonna cut down. It's gonna trickle down. So eventually, it's a community effort. It's all about community. So I wanna say to you today, it doesn't stop here today. Because we got a 3-week reprieve. 3 weeks. Now, we don't know if this is going to happen again. So what we're going to do after this, after today, we're going to call our legislators and say, listen, we don't want to see this happen on February 15th. We don't want to see this happen again. Because these are my neighbor was affected. A person I go to church with, they were affected. So many people are affected by this. And don't look at it like it's the unions. It's not just the unions. This is the whole community. So, and our Coast Guard, you know, it's just so many people. So I want to say to everybody who has been affected, please don't be ashamed or feel bad about coming in here and receiving some of these wonderful things that people have donated. Take that as something to take off of your bill until you can get yourself back caught up. Walk through there proudly, because this is what we all did. We came and brought it proudly. We want you to walk through there proudly and receive whatever you see inside this building here today. Whatever you need, you take it. And I don't know if I can tell, Kevin's probably going to tell you more about the Thursday coming up, so I'll let him do that. So I just want to say once again to everybody, thank you. Don't let it stop here. Call your legislators and tell them, listen, we don't want to see this happen. If the community calls, they listen. I'm telling you, if you flood those phone lines, they will listen. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Sister Karen. We appreciate all the hard work you do for your community in the AFL-CIO. At this time, I'd like to bring up my brother, Sean Beal, of the IBEW. Sean has about 150 people out on the Space Center affected by this shutdown also. It's just not the Machinists Union and the people here. This goes deep. It has tentacles. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, brother. And all I can do is echo what everybody else has been saying today is thank you all for showing up, for supporting this effort, and thank you for enduring and being the Space Center workers and community workers being involved. The main theme of this is getting together and is unity. And I know that we are a community and we all have different beliefs. We all have different political affiliations, but we do unite under labor. We all want to work. We all want a paycheck. We've got to go out and talk to our representatives. It's not over. Like they said, 3 weeks, February 15th. If this is another impasse, we don't get money again, it's not going to work. We've got to go ahead and call our politicians, call our legislators, our senators, our representatives in federal, and we need laws that help get us paid. Right now, there was a bill, an act that was put out to allow the government employees, federal government employees, to get reimbursed when it's over, but it doesn't have anything to do with the contractors. The community is not going to pay your bills right now, so we really need to get legislation that'll stop it from happening again. I know there's some bills out there to not allow the legislators to get paid if we don't get paid. That might help, but I think we really need more bills that are going to say that we do get reimbursed if everybody else is going to get reimbursed. So I really want to thank all of you. I want to thank IAM Lodge 166, Space Coast AFL-CIO, everybody else has contributed and really donated to the cause, and God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean, and the IBW. At this time, I want to bring up one of our own. He's an industrial high-voltage technician out at Kennedy Space Center, Brother Steve Ching.
First of all, I'd like to express to everybody, thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for showing you care about our members, about our community. This is so far-reaching, I have no words. My phone has been ringing off the hook with concerned members. Right now, this has affected federal contract workers who work side by side with federal workers, from NASA to the Coast Guard to the FAA. And they won't get back pay unless we pressure Congress and the President to do so. The Machinists Union proudly is leading the charge to introduce legislation to secure the back pay for these federal contract workers. We really need to put a face on what this shutdown is doing. From not only our members to the innocent children of our members, to the grandchildren. National security is at stake. Our best and our brightest will leave, or will never take a government or federal contracting job if they can't count on a consistent paycheck. I've fielded so many calls from so many members asking, what do I do? Do I file for unemployment? Do I find another job? What do I do? These are hard questions that are very difficult. I try to express to them, the first and foremost thing is your family. You must provide for them. We're being held hostage by the people in D.C. This shutdown has impacted veterans, which make up over 30% of the federal workforce. We must all contact politicians who have allowed this to happen and let them know the effect that it's had on your family. Please get involved. Talk to your members of Congress and let them know you're innocent. We are innocent workers that just want to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Steve. At this time, I'd like to bring up retired airline pilot who was with the Pilots Union for a long time and Progressive Alliance, Phil Stasek.
Hey, Space Ghost, how you doing today? Can you feel the love? Can you feel the solidarity? I tell you what, I am proud to stand here with you today. This is a horrible situation to be in, but I am so proud to be with all of you. You know, this is a moment on this day that we should all remember, because we have a chance to fix this, because elections have consequences. And we will have a chance to fix this. We need to reach out to our elected representatives, and we need to remind them that they work for us. They work for us. I'd like to talk to you just for a second about the impact on the aviation industry, air commerce, and how our nation moves by the air. I was lucky enough to be able to sit up the pointy end of airplanes for a long time. I've been flying for 45 years. I was an elected rep for the Airline Pilots Association for about a quarter of a century. And I got the pleasure of sitting up in the pointy end of the airplane. But I'll tell you what, whenever you see an airliner go by, there are 1,000 hands that are holding that airplane up. There are 1,000 people that are working to make our system work. Every time you see a plane fly, many of them are government workers, most of them are union workers, and we should not forget that. When you see an airplane fly by, it's not just the guy sitting up front or the flight attendant in the back or the TSA that's protecting us or the FAA. It's an incredible team of people that you never think of and you never get to see them. But I'd like to remind you about all the people that have been impacted by this government shutdown, this completely unnecessary government shutdown. Now, when I learned to fly, of course, there are people that test me and there are people that certify me. And I'm telling you, the Federal Aviation Administration has lots and lots of people that do that, not just for pilots, but for the mechanics, for the controllers, for everybody that works on the navigational aids that keep us flying in bad weather. There are people 24 hours a day, government workers who are spending their lives all across this country, and believe it or not, all around the world, to protect us and keep us safe every day that we fly. There are workers who design, test, certify everything at the airport, including the radar and navigational aids. They maintain our nav system, and honestly, my life has depended on it, and if you've ever ridden in an airplane, your life has depended on it too. These are government workers whose lives who protect our lives every day. The Federal Aviation Administration, you know what, there's a funny old saying, and that is that regulations, people hate regulations, right? But regulations are written in ink. The federal air regulations are written in blood. Those regulations keep us alive every day. And when the system breaks down, like it has, people's lives are in danger. We are very, very lucky that we got away, at least so far, without a major catastrophe. And I can tell you, I was flying when the president, many years ago, shut down the PATCO union. The professional air traffic controllers of this country were put out of work because they wanted to be treated fairly. That should never, ever happen again. And look where we are right now. There are federal air marshals that ride on those airplanes and watch out for our safety. There are National Weather Service meteorologists and forecasters that protect us from bad weather. Our lives depend on them. And I think we should never forget that, as we should never forget the feeling of solidarity today. And I thank you, Kevin, for letting me come out here and speak for the airline industry, for aviation as a whole. But I really want to stop and say thank you. Thank you to all of you for standing together in solidarity.
Thank you, Brother Phil. At this time, I'd like to bring up IAM local president Ed Grabowski. Ed has been by my side the whole time. Ed, come on up during the shutdown.
Thank you, Kevin. Kevin's been phenomenal to this whole ordeal. I want to remind everyone, this is our third shutdown we have been impacted by in the last 12 months. I myself am a proud veteran of the U.S. Army, and so is a large percentage of the members of this local lodge. This is the third time they've gone through this. One of our earlier shutdowns, some members on other contracts did not receive back pay for the pay they missed. This is unacceptable, so we all must do our part. We only have a 3-week reprieve. We need to contact our legislatures. We need to encourage our family and friends to do the same so they know that you're impacted. It's unbelievable. Until I reached out to my family and friends, they did not know I was impacted. So please continue to do so. Tell them not to shut us down ever again, leave us out of this fray, and we need our back pay. Because think about it. I live in New Smyrna Beach. We not only work at the Kennedy Space Center, but we live throughout Central Florida. So this will be a ripple effect throughout this economy. We deserve our back pay. This shutdown was by no fault of our own. And speaking of such, I know there's been a problem with communicating. So anybody that has my personal email and phone number, please hand it to our other members of Local Lodge 2061 so they can get any updates and get the links to the legislators. I can get it to them. I want to thank the local community for the food bank, and we're going to have additional food bank later this week. We'll have information on that. Kevin, are you going to issue that out? But I want to thank the International, the proposing legislation to get our back pay reimbursed to us. So now's not the time to relax, people. We need to stay active and do our part. We need to stand up and do our part, that's the best thing you can do, is either pick up the phone or send an email to your congressperson or your senator. But thank you for showing up, and in solidarity, we'll get through this. We'll come out stronger.
Thank you, Ed. So I want to thank everybody for coming out here today. But in closing, there's a few things I have to say. As we stand here today in front of this Union Hall with people from the community, business owners, just everyday people, General Vice President Wallace, District 166 of the Machinists Union, if you walk in there and look on the wall, you'll see charters that our membership has been involved in the space agency and putting people in space and defense since the early 50s. We have been here. We have been government contractors that take pride in our work and deserve to get paid. Our fathers, grandfathers, brothers, sisters, all have had a part in making this community what it is and making our national security what it is in the space agency. Whether it's the Air Force, which is unaffected by the shutdown, but NASA, we put people on the moon out of this local, this district. We are proud of what we do, and we deserve to get paid, and we're going to go forward. I ask each and every one of you today to call your senators, your congressmen, your brothers, your sisters, your family that's spread out over the country. Let's face it, we're a melting pot here in Florida, okay? We have family everywhere. They all need to get involved to understand the damage that they are doing to the middle-class workers of this country, in the small businesses and the big businesses. They can give you back pay, okay? And that's what we want. But that doesn't cure the suffering that our families are facing. So with that, I want to say God bless to all of you, and please reach out to our legislatures so that we can get this resolved so we don't go through this again in 15 days. My brothers and sisters and the employers deserve to get their pay, just like the federal workers. We are all one that make this country great. And they sometimes forget the little people that make it work. Thank you all.